You're listening to A Splash More with Bailey and Hayley, two moms, 12 years apart, who aren't afraid to spill it.
Around here, we pour the wine, tell the truth, and skip the sugarcoating.
So grab your glass. It's time for A Splash More.
Wait,
Lovely.
did I bring my water in?
Did you?
That's good.
That's right in front of you.
Yes, it is. Right in front of my eyes. Tell me I'm sleep deprived without telling me.
That's a pretty big
my
cup to miss.
It is. She's got like 5,000 of them in all
And
different.
it's like a foot tall.
And they all match her outfit.
This isn't even my biggest one, huh? You know? Yeah, they do. They're all color coordinated. Although I could have brought maroon today, like my burgundy
Yes.
one, and I did not. I brought the brown.
You brought the brown.
Well,
it
it
matches.
still blends.
It does. It does.
Oh, you're right. It does match my planner here.
It sure does. There's always some like level of coordination, even with her kids. I feel like somehow like the shoes match one of her like undershirts or something. Like there's always
It's true.
something.
It's kind of like my unspoken bond
It
with
is.
them or
It
something.
is.
I don't know. I do have blue shoes on today too. My blue sneakers with my
They're
blue.
cute.
Thank
Which
you.
is very fitting for us to introduce our guest here,
Mhm.
Miss Tanya Monaghan. She is a fashion editor and a community activist, which is one of the main reasons why we're having you here today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. We are just so honored that you can make the time. I know that you live a very busy life, and all of the things that you're working on right now, Bailey and I are huge supporters of. And as soon as, things started going the way that they were going, I mean, they've been going the way that they've been going for a long time.
Yes.
But as of recent, watching everything that you created here in our little community to help elevate all of these, things, I think is just so important. And a lot of what we talk about on this platform is just, how do we live our biggest life and step into our biggest voice when the world is constantly telling us to be smaller?
Mm-hmm.
And having you sort of create this event, which I know is probably going to carry on into other projects, where, I mean, you said what, like 5,000 people showed up?
Amazing.
And when did you start organizing it?
Well, so the story of how it started, so first of all, I can't take credit for all of it because, as you know, it takes more than one person to do something.
Yeah.
And, but the main point is that, all these things start with like little conversations. Some people are always like, it doesn't need to start with this big grand gesture. And I think how this all started was when things really started to hit the fan, like, I would walk around and I was just so heavy and upset and emotionally just not right or centered. It was just eating me up that this was happening.
Yeah.
I know things like this happen all over the world all the time. But when it's like in your own country, it was just really jarring to me because I never thought we'd see the day.
Right.
And, it just started with realizing that, I wasn't alone because people just going on with their day and and I was like, what, like, how can people just carry on? And it was just getting really heavy. And so, one of my friends, Louisa, we met for a coffee and she was just as devastated as I was. And we were trying to talk each other through it. And, the No Kings March was coming up. And so, there was one in El Segundo, there was one in Torrance, there's one in LA, and Louisa was like, well, are you going to go? And I was like, yes, I'm going to go. And I have had family members go, and my other friend Nina has been to the one in Torrance. And the one in Torrance was really appealing to me because it's got an older demographic, which I love. And, when I went that day, first of all, it's the most uplifting experience. And I understand everyone's scared. Everyone's scared to go protest. That's what they want. It was the most joyous, uplifting day. And it made me feel like it restored my sense of humanity. Mm-hmm. And seeing all these elderly people come out there in like wheelchairs, and they have to bring their little chairs to sit on because they can't stand for that long. And seeing some of the signs like, a lot of these women were like, I already marched for this. Like the fact that I'm doing this again, you guys, is ridiculous.
I know.
And it really was an incredible day. And I a lot of people were scared. So I just said, everyone come over to my house. My husband came with me, my kids came with me, and we piled everyone into my big ass car, and we went and we caravanned. And anyways, it was a beautiful experience. And then after that day, Louisa was like, you know what? Like, we need to do something here. We live in Manhattan Beach. Like, why is there nothing ever here? Like, we have to go to Torrance, we have to go outside of our little bubble, and like, we should do something here. And I was like, you're right. Okay. And we just started thinking about like, who can we get people to like magnify and I reached out, then we had our friend Megan, who also has a podcast, Judging Megan, and she's also been super vocal. She was like, I hardly knew her. Anyways, we just all three jumped in, and I reached out to my friend Nina, who's a city councilwoman, and she's very proactive with all these things. Mm-hmm. She was the one that was actually telling us to go to the No Kings March in Torrance. And we just started, like, it started with a post, you know, and Louise was like, let's just call it Southbay Takes a Stand, and let's just amplify
so strong. I love that so much.
Yeah, and she really, like, she's a marketing genius, and so she came up with, the branding is just beautifully done, and then we just needed to magnify it. So, that was where, we just started posting, and that grew. That first one was in June, and that one, I think we had about like 2,000 people. Which we were floored by. I didn't expect that many people to show up. Yeah. And we just got such an overwhelmingly great response from it. And then, of course, as things have progressed, well, I wouldn't say progressed, regressed. It's gotten dire. And I think we're reaching a point now where people that didn't care are caring now, because it's hitting home.
Yeah, so many things are coming up, and one of the main things that I want to say is that, like, I think a lot of people today are using their voice I don't want to say anyone's using their voice in the wrong way. What they're trying to do is change minds. And unfortunately, the likelihood of you changing someone's mind from one way to another way in this particular situation is not likely. What we're not doing is using our voices to bring people together who are like-minded, because there are a lot of people who have the same beliefs and have the same thought process and feel scared and want to do something, but it's really hard to care about something to the extent where you step out and use your voice, carry a sign, go to a protest, unless it's directly impacting you. And I think, to your point, when you say it's in our country, I think people are starting to realize that, man, this is hitting a little close to home. Like, I know it's not necessarily, well, it is happening. It did happen in Manhattan Beach. Like, it did happen in some of our little communities.
It did. It happened at the Red Carpet Car Wash, my car wash that I go to.
Yep.
Like, I know those guys.
Yep.
It was happening at playgrounds around here.
Yes.
Our kids,
the
like
malls.
all of our
kids.
Mm-hmm.
And just to be clear, and I think this is actually where your voice is really prominent right now because of everything that you've been starting to share and stand for. Just using your voice and starting to step up and say, hey, this is happening here. I do not like it. And I'm going to be clear on what it is that I do not like. And so I'm going to actually toss it over to you to talk about, or just lay the groundwork for what we're actually talking about, because we've kind of beat around the bush, not intentionally, but we haven't directly said, oh, Southbay Takes a Stand stands for this. Mm-hmm. Bailey stands for this. Hayley stands for this. Tanya stands for this. So I want to give you sort of the groundwork to do that because of everything that you've shared recently, and I think it's really important.
Thank you. Well, yeah, I'll be the first to say that just after hearing kind of how you started that platform and how it was just kind of like this conversation between all of you about like being bigger than the bubble, and then kind of actually sitting down and taking action with those posts, I'll be the first to admit that being a creator now for like 8+ years, as this climate has become what it is, it's become a space that's been felt so traumatizing to attempt to even share where you stand. Mm-hmm. And even as someone who has always been very clear about my values, and I think that's been like the most positive thing about the responses I've gotten since really being very, very clear cut about where I stand, is that people who have been following me for years, very much so, were like, okay, you clearly haven't been paying attention if like you don't know, like even if I didn't say something outright, you clearly haven't been paying attention, because the people who have been with me for many, many years know where I stand because they know what I value. They know that I value kindness and empathy and caring for people, and that my circles are vast and wide and inclusive. And, but I will be the first to admit that it was really hard for me to put my face in front of a camera
Yes.
and straight up say that I do not support this administration. I do not support the current actions of ICE. I am fearful and terrified for the world that I'm raising my young children in. And God, I have like chills just saying that out loud, because it's, and I think regardless of what state this is happening in our country, where it's worst, where it literally does not matter, I think we all know someone who's being impacted. Like I've been DMing with friends of mine in Minnesota who like my girlfriend who has a preschooler also who's like, and is currently pregnant with a second, who's terrified to walk her child to school, who says it is like living in a world you just never, like it is a time lapse out there. I mean, so yeah, I think we need to make it clear that where we stand is on the side of inclusivity, empathy, kindness, standing up for marginalized communities, supporting all communities.
Yep.
And I think I've found a greater clarity in myself and the voice I want to be moving forward actually through this experience. And it shouldn't take this sort of thing happening to do so.
No, it shouldn't.
But I think it's important for people to hear from a voice like me who is a very real voice on social media. And I do, own up to things like that. I want to own up to the fact that I wish I would have said something sooner. And I think that's important. And like I said, I think I've always been clear about where I stand, but I think that I felt like I was kind of being pinned to a wall by people and held on a pedestal, honestly, for a very long time. And there's no room for that anymore. I don't care if you have a platform or not. There is no room to not be speaking up. And that's been actually, I think, the most wild conversations in my DMs right now is when people are like, imagine unfollowing someone. Like there's been two sides of the story, right? People who are like, I don't share the same views, and I have to have respect for that, just as you were saying, right? Like I have total respect for that. But who are like, hey, but I love you for this, and I respect you for speaking, for sharing your voice, speaking your opinion. And then there have been people who have just straight up unfollowed me, and of course lovingly announced their departure in my DMs. This is not an airport; you can just leave. And
it's like going out of your way to be like, not only am I just going to unfollow you for your own beliefs, I'm going to let you know that I'm unfollowing you. Like,
thank you so much.
Great. Chances are I'm not going to see this, and if I do,
honestly, let the door hit you on the way out, because
that's what good riddance.
Like there is no for me, there's no flipping side here, and I guess that's a point of contention that might be for some listeners on this, but I guess that's a point that's really important for me to bring up here. Is for me there's no side in this. Like this stopped being political a long time ago. At the end of the day, this is about basic human decency and basic human rights at this point.
Yes,
and that's the side that I'm just really having a hard time hearing when there are conversations in my DMs right now.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm confused, because if you're seeing what I'm seeing and you think there's a side to choose here, I'm confused. Like I'm genuinely confused. Make it make sense. Make it make sense.
Especially now. And that's why I hate the word political, because I'm also like, never have considered myself a political person.
No.
It is literally a human rights issue, and it is just now it is beyond Republican, Democrat, and I've been saying this like because everyone's like, oh, you're so this, you're so that. It's really not one camp or the other. It's literally become like, what are you for? You can sit here and say whatever you want to me, but like for me, and believe me, I lost a lot of followers.
You and me both, sis.
And I really don't care, because at the end of the day, I have to sit with myself, and it takes courage to do that. But it's just, I'm so convicted with speaking my truth. And I've learned that throughout my life, that I would rather go to sleep with my conscience clear and feel good about myself than worry about what other people think.
Yeah.
And I feel very convicted of what I'm standing up for, which how can you argue? I don't understand why there's another side to this conversation, especially now. I can kind of, the first time around, okay, you're just very blind to your party, you're Republican, it's for the economy or whatever reasons you had.
Right.
Now it is like, okay, you're for your president raping children and
Right.
a pedophile ring, and never mind the environment. I mean, there are thousands of things that are wrong. And that's the thing, like, what are you for then?
But that's the problem. And you're exactly right. And just so we're clear, I'm on the exact same page as everybody here. I don't have that kind of a platform other than this, which I'm using to elevate it. But I think people on that side, right, they have such it's like almost like an ego thing, which makes a lot of sense, right? Like they voted for him, so now they can't go backwards, because then they would have to admit and say, man, he's like not a great person and I made a mistake. I have had a few friends that have come to me and been honest and been like, look, I voted for him in the first election because I wanted to see something different, and a lot of like financial reasons and stuff like that, not a lot of social reasons. But after everything that happened in that first election or that first term, when he came back around, they were like, I cannot possibly vote for this person again. I will literally have to vote for anybody else because of it. But I just want to like reiterate the other point that I made, is that we're not going to change people's minds. That is something that I've learned. People need to make their own mind up. They need to come to terms with whatever it is that they're voting for, whatever it is that they believe in. I have learned that like using my voice to fight with people or to argue with people just does not work. Mm-hmm. The bigger part to this is that there are so many people out there who do believe like this and just don't vote or don't step up because they don't think it matters, or they think that what they have to say doesn't matter, or these bad things that are happening are not like directly impacting their home. So they just don't vote, they don't show up, they don't use their voice. And those are the people that we actually need to speak to. Those are the people that we need to rally, because those are the people, they believe in what we believe in. They believe in basic human rights, but they don't believe in it enough to like step outside their home because it's just uncomfortable, or they're busy, or whatever excuse that I found myself using. Like I've always been a voter because my mom, she's like the ultimate liberal and has like told me from the day I was born that if I don't vote, it is a problem. Mm-hmm. But like, could I use my voice louder? Absolutely. Could I be clearer on what I believe in? I think most people who know me know what I believe in. But yes, I could, right? Like I could speak louder. I could say directly to anybody that I speak to who doesn't necessarily believe in what I believe in, like, I don't believe what you believe in. And for me, it's not okay. But it is scary and intimidating. You never know when you're going to offend somebody. Is it like a business meeting? Like you always have to, I'm not going to say you, I always feel like I have to tread lightly and make sure that you're not saying the wrong thing to the wrong person, because it could impact a relationship. But to you guys' point with platforms, you're like, I don't care if it impacts that relationship.
Well, and I want to give you a nod on, because I feel very similarly, like I could not have said it any better myself when you said at the end of the day, this came down to a matter of like when you go to sleep at night, living with your own self and knowing that you have spoken your own truth. And I feel the same way. Like that was the question I was asking myself at the end of the day. I was like, I could lose 5,000 followers. I will go to sleep at peace that night, knowing that I've spoken what I value and my own truth. And I've been honest with not only myself, but with people that support me and show up for me every day. And that was of equal value to me, of being like, hey, like you guys take time out of your own day to be a part of me community here. And I want to be utterly clear on who you're supporting. And it feels really freeing, honestly. Like I feel like I've opened myself up to even more, to a community of people who are like, dang, wow, a girl who is like not only confident in who she is, but confident in what she speaks for and stands for. So I think that was really beautifully said on your part. And I very much agree. And I'm honestly proud to be amongst someone in the Southbay community, also with a platform who, for lack of a better term, said, fuck it. Like, this is what's happening now, and I'm going to say something about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very vapid, I've been doing, the Instagram, gosh, I think I started in like 2013. I've been doing this for a long time. And at first it was like all fashion and doing that. And I just got to the point where I'm like so sick of myself, you know? And when the fires hit last year, I was like, I can't sit here and post about like my skin regime and like my cute outfit. Like it felt so wrong. Like all these people are just losing everything and here, you know what I mean? So there have been these like critical moments where I'm like, this just is not like aligning with, even though I lost money and I've lost a client base because I just had to be like, I'm so sorry, like I just can't do this right now.
Right.
And honestly, since then I feel like things just have not gotten better. So I've kind of just slowly kind of taken myself away and strangely have just kind of moved towards this. I mean, I just like called my mom yesterday because we went to Ted Lieu's office yesterday, actually.
Oh, that's pretty big.
Me and Megan from Southbay Takes.
Amazing.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. It doesn't need, like, we can all do this as constituents, you know, like that's what they're there for. They work for us. And people just don't understand like the ramifications of like, you can just go show up and ask for a meeting or stand outside, leave a letter. And so, you know, I came back to my mom's like, oh my gosh, you know, I mean, and she's got this cute little South African accent. She's like, oh my goodness, you've become an activist, you know, it's just like, and I was like, no, I haven't. And she's like, yes, you have, you know, and it's so funny. Like I never would label myself that, you know.
Well, I think a lot of people wouldn't. And I think that's why it's so important to bring you on and for us to have this conversation honestly, because I think a lot of people out there who are now starting to like open their eyes a little bit and like come to terms with what's happening and be like, okay, I need to step up more, are saying, how do I do this, right? Like, how do I have the courage to put myself out there? How do I start? And I think that's what stops a lot of people is like that very first step into taking a stand, or that very first step into using your voice. I think you took it the other day, and know you've taken it in a friendship and in your personal life with the people who are like directly connected to you. But I think you took your first like real step, and I was so proud of you when it came out. I really was. I was just like, this is amazing, because I know that we've had conversations about this for the last year, and I obviously knew where you stood, and it is hard for someone who doesn't have a platform to be like, well, you have a platform and like there's an opportunity here. But I also understand the fear behind it.
Well, and honestly, there's such a connection with what you mentioned of like saying like, I've, you know, income. Like I think a lot of people are like, let's be real. I'm not going to lie and say that there wasn't some fear in that, withheld in that for me, because my platform supports my family. Like that's meals on the table for me as well. Right. But it all comes back to that conscious at the end of the day. And I think there's so much power in what you said about, because I, once again, similarly felt so much of the same when it came to, and I even opened that statement with this of saying, I can no longer in good conscience keep posting fashion hauls and, you know, sharing any of my day-to-day content about confidence and body image and motherhood and marriage and any of that without being clear about this. And I think that's like the disconnect that I'm experiencing a lot with people, where I'm just like, how are we just like going about our day and getting groceries, or how is so-and-so other influencer just still posting 8 Amazon hauls a day while this is happening and they haven't said a word, and just the lack of accountability there. But it is, I think, a really valid open conversation for us to be having on that, because there is like the accountability on one side, but I also have firsthand experienced the pressure in my DMs of someone being like, you haven't spoken up, you haven't this, and you're like, it's my job and it's my this, but I'm also a good person and I'm a good human, and I want people to know that like your mind just constantly is like on overdrive. What is the right thing? And I think the right thing is exactly what you and I have spoken about here, was sitting down with ourselves at the end of the day. I've always said that, more so in the self-love space, but like the most important relationship I have at the end of the day is with myself, period. I say that all the time with women that I help with confidence and body image, but that stands true with anything I do. Like at the end of the day, am I happy with how I showed up today? And that's really what it comes down to.
Well, I'm really proud of you, because I know how hard that is. And I also because I also feel like we still need to create content, and there still needs to be joy. And so like, yes, that's your livelihood. And when I said that, I wasn't you know, I just don't want anyone to take it any sort of way. Like I just couldn't do that myself, but I feel like there is a need for that.
Mm-hmm.
That's your job. That's what you have to do. People don't go quit their jobs when all this, but just because of by virtue of what we do,
Mm-hmm.
it maybe gets judged that way.
Mm-hmm.
And what you did was really important because you still have to do your job, but you're putting it out there at the risk of losing your income, which it says a lot about you and your character.
Mm-hmm.
And I also want to tell you that I lost a lot of followers, and it's, you know, they've all come, I've gotten more now
Mm-hmm.
than all the ones that I lost.
And they're different ones.
They're
right?
different ones, and
which
they're
is-
so much more engaged
Yeah.
and supportive. So it's a different demographic that I'm getting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But gosh, like their DMs fill my heart because I've gotten a lot of hate. And so the ones that come on and just say like, thank you so much for doing this, it makes my day.
Yeah.
Like I read all of them.
I had chills.
Well,
Yeah.
and it aligns with who you are, right? It aligns with what you
Yes.
believe in. The people who are following you. I've told you this all the time. Like there's many things that people could unfollow you for, right? But those people, for the reason they unfollow you, it is because you're saying something that doesn't align with them.
They
And
don't like
why?
it.
And it's not like we can't be connected to people that don't share our beliefs and don't align with who we are. But like when it comes to core values and human rights and things like that, I want people in my circle that I align with. It's really hard for me to be around people now that do not align with these thoughts, right?
Right.
Like I don't want someone in my life who thinks that what's happening with ICE and with the Epstein records and all that is right, or that it's not real.
Right.
I'm like, this is real. This is not right. If you don't believe that, you're not my people. Like,
Right.
and I don't need you in my life. So anyone who's listening, I'm sorry, but if you're just learning this about me, I wish you the best. Not for me. And if you want to have a conversation about it and like actually discuss why I don't think it's right, then I'm happy to do that. I want to go back a little bit and just clarify and like let people know actually what Southbay Takes a stand was that day. So you got into a little bit with, you know, talking about what happened in June and where it got started and what Bailey and I saw, which we didn't get on camera at first. We were sitting at the beach and she already knew it was happening. I had heard about it, but I forgot that day. And we were sitting at the beach with our families, and as she said, we both have 3-year-olds, and I have a 1-year-old. She has a 6-month-old. It just was not something we could do that day. But we stood from the beach and we just saw thousands, and then I'm like, oh my God, this is that thing. I totally forgot about it. She's like, yeah, Southbay Takes a stand.
Oh yeah, I took footage from, which was actually a really cool
Yeah.
viewpoint.
Oh, you've just done that to me.
Oh, absolutely. I'll
Where
drop
were
it all
you?
to you before you leave. We were right about 25th,
Yeah, 25th.
in Hermosa.
Nice, yeah.
Yes. And it was, I mean, the coolest part was that every time we turned around, like just to continue to take it in, it just kept going.
Kept going.
I'm like there. And then by the time y'all turned around, it was just still people both directions, which is incredible. My trainer was out there with his husband
Oh.
and several of the women I work out with. As we just talked about, like Kimmel was out there with his family.
So cool.
Just the turnout was just incredible. And I think what's most special is you don't know like the feeling of the South Bay unless you live in the hidden gem of the South Bay.
Yes.
But it's a very special place. And I think, as you kind of mentioned early on when we were chatting, that it's really cool to see something so powerful in what feels small to us. Like we don't live in a small place, but like to
No,
see
I mean,
our
it's
little
small.
our little beach cities like really
Yeah.
coming together in a place that brings us all so much joy. Like I know the ocean is the place that brings me joy down here, and was just, there's no words to really describe it, honestly. All the footage from it, the photos, like it just still amazes me.
It was like one of my proudest moments
As it should have been.
for the South. Like I grew up here, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was, you know, I've just never been so proud of this community. And when you know, me and Megan and Louisa and another Megan and Nina and Bob, we had to climb up on we spoke from the lifeguard tower, and so we had
Yes.
to climb up the stairs at the official lifeguard tower at the end of Manhattan Beach Pier, you know, at the beginning of the pier. And when we got, because I could tell that there were a lot of people, but we're down on the ground.
Yeah.
And when I walked up, like on the lifeguard tower, I literally just like grabbed their hands and I was like, oh my God.
This is so cool.
Look at what we did. This is crazy. Because it was like, as far as my eyes could see up Manhattan Beach Boulevard, as far as I could see down the Strand to the right and to the left, it was just a sea of people. And I've never seen that.
No.
And we're like, people care. This is amazing. And it was just the best day. Like I said, it just restored my faith in humanity.
Yeah. And I think that, like, I'm going to say some things.
You did that. You did that.
Yeah, you did that.
I did not do that alone.
No, but I mean, you did that. Like, how
did it?
But to your point, you're like, people think that it has to be a big, grand thing. And sometimes these things, it's all ripples. It's ripples of like a conversation. It's ripples of like a post, sending emails, texts out to friends, share this, share that. It always starts locally. And so all these people think, oh, I could never do that. Literally, we started this, it's like with a couple people.
Yes.
And it grew into this. And I think we all played an integral role in it. But like, also, it's not us. It's just that people have to show up. People have to care. And sometimes being a leader is actually just, opening the door for people to walk through. You know, it's like, it's setting it up. It's setting up the thing. It doesn't seem, it's not this big, grand, like hard thing, but it's just moving like with intention, like being like, I want to do something. Let's do something.
Yes. And like these micro movements, we actually just released an episode last week where we talk about micro movements. So it doesn't not everything that you come up with has to be the next big thing. Mm-hmm. It can be, right? But if you go into it thinking like that, it can be scary. It can feel difficult. It feels like it needs a lot of like courage and why me? Like, am I good enough to do this? If you look at these little movements as like micro movements into what could potentially down the road become into something big, it's easier to understand. It's easier to grasp. It's easier to wrap your head around and be like, okay, I'm going to start with this one small thing. I'm just going to call my friend and say, hey, this is really bothering me. Is it bothering you too? Do you want to go get coffee?
Exactly.
As you did, and you had coffee, you talked, then people were coming to your house to go to another, protest in another part of our community. And then it came back to the Southbay and you got 5,000 people plus to come together and Jimmy Kimmel to, walk for something that so many people are afraid of and don't want to see happening in our communities, in our country, around the world. It's, as we keep saying, it's human rights. This is not just like Republican, Democrat. It is like right, wrong. It is like, this is like, we're not taking care of humans. We are taking care of humans. So you really should be proud of it. And there's so many other things I want to say, but I just really want people to hear your story and to hear how this started and what it turned into so that you can go into your community and do it too. And just pick up that phone call your friend, see what they're feeling, see if they're as passionate about you and passionate as you are about this. And if they are, you could just start, right? It's as easy as posting one post
or going up to Ted Lieu's office or writing a letter, like all these phone calls. We want to put pressure on them to do something.
Yes.
That's the thing, is we have to apply pressure, and people just think, oh, I'm just me. It doesn't matter. We have to overload the system to cause action. And so all these little things create the big thing.
Yes.
And if we all just sat around and did nothing, like silence is just not an option, and that's why like what you did was so important. And even like Jimmy Kimmel coming up, like these people that have everything to lose, that have used their platform for speaking up for what they believe in. Glennon Doyle, Abby, they were there. It also gives people like they can take a temperature and be like, well, everyone still loves them, and it's. Yes, you might lose some, but you win some. And it's those people also that put themselves out there that you can see like that takes courage and you respect them.
Yes.
And there are just certain people that I really have leaned into that inspire me to do the same.
Yeah. you know, I was thinking about this a lot, as I said, until something directly impacts you, it's hard to like fully care about it. And so I think with something like this that's happening in our country with ICE, with just Donald Trump's administration and the Epstein records and all of the things that are unfolding because of his actions and the actions of these powerful people around him, it's time to look at these stories and say, how could this happen to me? Because there are things happening that might not seem like it could happen to you, but it can. They start at one spot and then they quickly, like, I keep thinking of these like major things that have happened in our world across the last like hundreds of years. You could see how they happen now, right? Like as we're living through it, I remember learning about the Holocaust as a kid and being like, how could we let that happen? Like as a human people, like how did we let that happen?
They're literally taking the playbook. It's the playbook.
It's
play by play.
Absolutely. And it's like, oh my gosh, I can see how that happened because I'm sitting here worrying about drop off and taking my, you know, kid to my gym and doing all these things where like down the street, somebody's literally getting ripped out of their home and taken to a unknown location.
Or disappeared.
Away from their children. This is happening next door. Like
in America.
So don't wait until something happens to you to have it matter. And don't wait until something is directly impacting you and your family or the people you care about until you care about it. Because I'm telling you, it can come and knock on your door at any moment, and you want to be on the right side of history. That's what I keep telling myself. I'm like, at some point, we're going to look back at this the way that like I'm looking back at things that happened way beyond like me being alive and say, well, how did that happen? Well, now we see. Like I'm seeing how that happened.
Yeah, and historians are going to be studying this moment in history till kingdom come.
Absolutely.
So I don't know how the hell this happened. You'd think that we would learn.
Yes.
It's frightening.
It is frightening. So on a positive note, I want to learn about what is next for Southbay Takes a Stand. And do you have visions of it going even like beyond just the South Bay?
That's a good question. I mean, beyond the South Bay, not sure. But we, unfortunately, I think we're going to be dealing with this a lot longer than, unfortunately. But that's the beautiful thing is that this last March showed us that like the tides are turning, we've got momentum. So there were absolutely people have been asking, people want it. Yeah. People that missed this event were like, when are you doing another one? So I'm sure we will do something like soon. We're kind of figuring out, maybe like Louise was also saying, like, let's maybe bring in, like something for the children. There's just so much. It's like, what do you concentrate on, right?
There's so much opportunity there.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many things wrong. So I think what made this last one really successful was, to your point, we didn't want, but we didn't want to exclude. I wanted it to be very welcoming and not use this like, are you left? Are you right? We were just like, this is for democracy. Yeah. This is like anti like ICE, like kidnapping of children and good people that belong in our community.
In the streets, like
It and freedom of speech, freedom of press. It's just
freedom.
We really wanted to keep it very broad, and to your point, even I would love anyone to come. It doesn't, we have to start these conversations, and I think it is really hard, for people that did vote for Trump twice to kind of say, we had a few of those come, and I'm so that is wonderful. And I respect people that do that and have an open mind that can be changed, because it's not, they wanted to believe what he was saying. He's just a liar. That's the only thing that he is consistently good at is lying. So they got lied to. And I also just don't think there's shame in just being like, shoot, okay.
No, I fell for it.
I fell for it. Yeah. And you know what? But I'm a good person, and I realize that now. And having that courage and that accountability like for me, I respect that so much.
Yeah,
So much.
same.
Yeah.
And so I do think I want more of that. Like,
Yes.
and like you're saying, the people that are just on the, or are independents, that we have to vote. We have to vote.
Yes.
That's it. And
Yes.
we need power. It's all power in numbers. So that's what we're just trying to get the momentum started, and we need to just keep that going. So yes, there will absolutely be another something. We're trying to figure that out right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I love that.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say that you're waiting to get started. You definitely have already started it. And, you know, definitely have Bailey and I'm going to speak for her in this moment, but as any supporters of anything that you need or anything that you come up with, we are there, maybe without children, if we can get childcare. And, you know, I think anyone who's listening, just know that your voice matters, and your voice is strong enough to take that first step into really like making a change. And if you don't like the way that something is looking in your world, why would you sit back and just let it be? Because it doesn't have to be like this, and we can absolutely have it look different.
I think honestly, prior to well, the term we've all used during several times, this like shit hitting the fan, even worse, for lack of a better term. We were already like really lacking connection and community in the world. I've said this for years on my own platforms. Because connection specifically is just something I try to bring to my platform, because I think people feel really isolated in the world right now. And so I think it's just important to note that we need that even more than ever right now, right? Like finding little ways to connect with people in your neighborhoods, finding ways to create community. Connection and community is like, I think, just the core of what so many of us are seeking right now, to feel heard and to feel safe. And you can find big and small ways to do that.
Yeah, that's a great point, because it can start as small as that, right? Just like meeting up with your neighbor and
and just talking about it. Like, I think we've talked a lot about paralyzing fear and things. And like, I think for like a busy mom, right? A busy working mom, a stay-at-home mom, whomever, it can feel like our capacities at the end of the day are all so low, right? So it can feel like a lot to be like, I want to say something. I want to be a part of something, but I am so taxed already. Like, we're all taxed, but I think even having a conversation with your fellow mom friend about that, right? Of like, I'm exhausted because I spend all of day taking care of my kids. And then at the end of the day, I'm so exhausted thinking about how fearful I am for the world my kids are growing up in. You know, having that conversation is important right now.
And holding on to hope, because things are very, very dark. And that that's one of the things that I feel like I need to, it's a conscious effort to try and find hope. And you just need to do that in whatever, you know. So, I mean, I'm an extrovert and I love connection, but I also like, I need to be sometimes by myself.
Same.
And I need to like stay in my pajamas and have a cup of coffee by myself, or, you know, go down to get my feet in the sand. And then there are times that I do need someone, and my husband's, I tell him everything. He's just such an amazing support, but also like go for a walk on the beach with a friend, you know, go get a coffee. Like, I've been trying to do more of that. And honestly, I think that is what is keeping me sane and finding hope in like your own little environments that right now are safe. And, you know, just for me, like happiness is like, you know, having my kids feel happy and being around the kitchen laughing and being able to talk to me about anything. You know, I just, you have to find joy in like the little things and just express gratitude for them daily, because it's just, everything on the outside right now is just like really hard and really dark.
It can be. It can be. And because of that very reason, relishing in those small moments, being around the kitchen with your kids, taking a walk in the sand, going to meet a neighbor for coffee, or, you know, be with your bestie for too much wine on a Saturday night. She just did.
It's the best night.
It is nice, and there's still space for that stuff. So like, you know, you brought it up already, but finding joy in these difficult, dark times. It's okay to be happy. It's okay to find joy. It's okay to not be thinking about this every second of every single day, because that can also eat you alive. So don't feel shame if you're, getting a pedicure and like living your best life.
Which I'm doing right after this, actually.
Yes,
so
I'm
due for a mani-pedi.
that.
And I'm actually also going to give a plug to a thing I'm doing that brings me joy this week.
Yes, please.
That also involves mom that I think is really cool. They were actually recently on the Kelly Clarkson show.
Amazing.
Have you guys heard of, they're called the Early Birds Club?
No.
Okay, so I'm going on Friday night. They invited me out. It's like a club for moms. So it's their tagline is like for moms who have shit to do in the morning.
Okay.
So it's like you just go dance for a couple hours, but it's 6 to 10.
Yeah, it's
so
like
like
blue light special.
Yes.
So
the whole goal is like you're in bed before midnight.
Love it.
And I had seen their stuff and like they're selling out like all over the country.
So
it's amazing. Cool. But that's like one thing I've really been like looking forward to this week, holding joy for, because I'm like, I love to dance and I love music, and that's kind of one of my things that like really brings me joy.
I love that.
So I think the joy and also the power of making a difference, moving us forward is very important combo.
Yes, and one thing that I would like to clarify that we have not said yet is that women especially are extremely powerful, and we have a lot of opportunity in this moment to step into leadership, to step into joy together, to create something different on this planet, because what these men are creating right now is not it. It's not
Word.
Word. Which you should also, keep checking in on Miss Tanya over here, because she has her podcast launching
next week.
Next
week. Oh man, I really.
You'll have to have us on for something.
Episode.
I don't know.
Sure.
We'll come up with some topic that makes sense.
Well, yeah, and I just, keep us in the loop with Southbay Takes a Stand, because we would love to support in any way that we can.
Yes,
as I know so many people in the
Yeah.
South Bay do, but you certainly have champions in us.
Yes.
Oh,
And
well,
do you have anything else that you want to add before we...
We can find you at Southbay Takes a Stand, correct? Is the handle? On
Yeah, well, that's a
Instagram
handle
for
for Southbay Takes a Stand. And then my handle is just Tanya.Monaghan.
Love it.
Where I'll be launching, my podcast and stuff in my personal capacity.
Amazing.
But I just, I think we're ending on a good note. I always like to end on hope,
Yes.
So I think, those things of the world's really dark, but we just do what we can, and it doesn't have to be a big grand thing. It can just be a little thing, and it's all the ripples that start locally that build into something big, and so that's the thing. I just would, if your heart calls on doing something, it could be as simple as like going to coffee with a friend and talking about what's happening to vent, and then know that you're not alone, because I think a lot of people feel like they're alone in this, and they're not.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Love that.
All right. Well, that was a great note.
Yeah, you left me with hope. I'm like, I feel uplifted.
I feel uplifted too.
Really
that
do.
was fun.
Thanks for tuning in to A Splash More. If you love this week's episode, please drop us a topic in comments, share this episode with a friend, and follow us so you never miss a splash. And remember, keep owning your voice, take up space, and keep stepping into your most powerful self. See you next week.